I can see why the Iranians are mad because they're out for blood. They lost a lot of people. The school got blown up, right? You know, Trump made the comments about a civilization might go down. So obviously, you know, the Iranian people are very angry. So I can see why they're doing that. But I think tactically, there's nothing wrong with rearming, regrouping a bit, getting your missiles in order and being ready for the next part. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be able to manufacture more drones and missiles than they're going to be able to manufacture interceptors. So this period of time, I think they're going to be able to rearm themselves to a higher degree than the United States and the Gulf states, and Israel is going to be able to rearm themselves on interceptors. But I can see why the people are pissed off because of obviously all the disrespectful things that Trump has said. And I know a lot of Iranians are pissed off about that too. Like, hey, keep attacking them, keep attacking them. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Like, the Iranians absolutely have the ability to, like, sink one of these destroyers easily. They can spam it with drones and then shoot a ballistic missile, and they won't be able to take it all down, and it'll go down. And, like, we're talking about sailors dying for what? Like, for what? Like, for this stupid blockade that's completely unnecessary? Yeah, I don't know. Who the hell's idea was that?
Netanyahu was asked about...
Thank God.
Sorry, there was claims that Lebanon would be included in this new extension of the ceasefire deal. The Iranians asked for Israel to announce it first, and Netanyahu came out and announced that he's going to continue his war with Lebanon. So that's the latest news on that. Just want to welcome Myron onto the stage. Myron, hope you're doing well. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man? Can you guys hear me good or no?
Yeah, we can hear you really well.
Okay. No, I'm on stream right now. I figured I'd come in. Somebody asked me in my chat to join in on the space. So I wanted to see what was going on.
Yeah, give us your thoughts about what's going on. We've not heard from you in a while. What's your thoughts about the negotiations, ceasefire negotiations? We're in the middle of it. There is conversations about a 2-week extension. What do you think? What do you think's going on?
I think Trump is starting to realize that he's lost this war strategically, and he's trying to kind of find an off-ramp, or also the other option, or what he could be doing also, which, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he's doing this too, is feigning diplomacy to buy himself some more time so that he can, you know, mount some type of ground assault. But I think a ground assault at this point is going to be catastrophic. We know that they already took the L a week or two ago with the black operation they were trying to do with, you know, trying to steal the uranium. And I think that was the whole reason he was, you know, doing the whole Carg Island saying, I might negotiate, I might not. We might destroy their civilization, we might not. I think all of that was, you know, to give himself time, letting the oil prices spike up. It was all to give himself time so he could go ahead and steal their uranium, because if he stole the uranium, he'd be able to say, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. I got my off-ramp, I got my W, I'm going to pull out now. But since he couldn't do that, now he's kind of stuck. Because it's like, all right, what am I going to do now? Because I don't have a diplomatic off-ramp. I still want to have these maximalist demands. I don't have the uranium, so I have nothing to show for this war. And if I pull out now, I'm going to look weak and I'm going to look bad. But what he doesn't realize is, like, we've already lost this thing strategically. And I would agree with Dr. Robert Pape about this. He said that he thinks Iran's going to emerge as a fourth world power. I think so too. I actually agree with that, because all the Iranians had to do was just not get destroyed. And they've been able to not get destroyed. They're still able to launch attacks. We can't destroy other missile cities. The uranium is somewhere and we don't know where it's at, right? I know they had intelligence that it was at Isfahan, but that probably wouldn't have been all of it. And at the end of the day, it's just a very bad situation that we're in. I think Trump got in here with very bad intelligence, thinking that he was going to be able to get this done in a few days. And now he's kind of stuck, and he's in a rock and a hard place, because to leave now was going to make him look weak, but to continue on, he knows is going to be bad. So I think he's trying to buy himself some time, maybe for some type of ground assault, which would be a catastrophe. But yeah, I mean, J.D. Vance didn't make anything happen. I don't know why Witkoff and Jared Kushner are still going to these meetings. I think it's wildly disrespectful and stupid to still keep bringing them. They're both idiots. They're both Zionists. They're both friends with Netanyahu. So in my eyes, that shows that they're not serious about negotiations. And, you know, we got to figure something out here, because this is very bad.
So in terms of the negotiations, if you remember, there was claims that Lebanon was going to be part of it. It seems like Trump agreed to that. Then he got a call from Netanyahu, and 4 hours later, they pulled the Lebanon being part of the agreement. Since then, they want a 2-week extension. And the Pakistani delegation went to Iran to try and they told Iran, they said, look, we've got the US approval. They said they're going to make Israel agree as well. They've agreed. Lebanon is now going to be included from now and included in the extension.
Okay.
And just when he said that, Iran said, look, we're going to wait for this time. We're going to wait for Israel's announcement first. Netanyahu came out and said,
yeah,
the war with Lebanon's continuing. What's your thoughts on that?
Insane. And here's the thing. As we speak right now, there's a big battle going on in southern Lebanon. Bint Jabil, I might be butchering that, but it's obviously a very, you know, important place for Hezbollah, because that's where Hassan Nasrallah gave a famous speech back in 2000, a Spiderweb speech. And, you know, trying to take it. Now, as of yesterday, from what I understood, the IDF did actually have it. They had it secured for a period of time, but now it looks like there's another firefight going on. Hezbollah doesn't want to let them have it. And I just saw on rerun, they're saying Israeli helicopters right now are evacuating wounded soldiers from southern Lebanon. So they're taking some very serious casualties. I do have a pretty reputable source who told me that, well over 2 days ago, there was 950 soldiers that had been in this Hezbollah war. It's probably well over 1,000 now at this point because this was almost 48 hours ago. So, and then I think like something like 150 Merkava tanks have been destroyed and a lot of infrastructure and assets have been destroyed. I mean, look, what I've realized about is they can't last long when they actually start taking serious casualties. So who knows if it will force Netanyahu to the table to negotiate with them, kind of like they did back in 2024. Because, even though they on Nasrallah, yes, they did the Patriot attack, etc., and they were able to bomb Beirut and assassinate some people, they were still getting on the ground. They still couldn't take the Litani River. They couldn't make it to Beirut. I mean, Suleiman, me and you had a whole discussion about this, about the failures of the ground assault. That's why they had to kind of do the ground assault while running the operation with the pagers, while doing the airstrikes in Beirut. They had to do all of that to get rid of Hassan Nasrallah. And as soon as they got rid of Hassan Nasrallah, they did the ceasefire and they pulled out because they can't last on the ground long. And this time it seems like they're trying to push a little bit further, but they're still getting their kicked. So Netanyahu, man, and I'm seeing also with the Israelis that they're starting to get really agitated with Netanyahu because, they got to run to bomb shelters every day. So it seems like the approval ratings of the war are going down.
Yeah, although it's going down, I think the majority of the Israelis still support a war with Iran.
They still do.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the society is, right?
And they still support a war in Lebanon, too. Like, they still, especially the people that live in the north, they're tired of getting rocketed out, too.
Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is Netanyahu may come to the table out of desperation, but right now he's not at the desperation point.
Yeah.
From my understanding, I mean, looking at it and analyzing it, I think he's going to start getting there in maybe a week or 10 days, maybe 2 weeks.
They're taking a lot of casualties, man.
Now.
I think they're well over 1,000 now. I'll have an update for you in about an hour from a pretty good source of how many. But the last time I checked, we're in the 900 range of 48 hours ago. So we're going to probably be well over 1,000.
Okay. I'm just reading now reports saying that the meeting between the foreign minister and the Pakistani delegation led by the army chief has now concluded. Tomorrow, Tehran will discuss with the Pakistani delegation the messages exchanged between Iran and the United States of America. So, an Axios reporting that Trump would welcome an agreement to end fighting between Lebanon and Israel. But that's kind of where we're at the moment. What's your kind of anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, I know Marco Rubio yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, was leading talks between Lebanon and Israel for the first time in almost 40 years or so. And, they're trying to do something. But the thing is that Hezbollah has a significant amount of influence in Lebanon. And honestly, I think people probably support Hezbollah more than they support the Lebanese government because they look at it like the Lebanese government is to Israel. And, Israel, says, oh, yeah, we want this buffer zone. We want the security zone in southern Lebanon. Translation, we want to steal more land like they did with the Palestinians. So, and then there's 2 million Lebanese right now that are displaced. So it's like, I think the Lebanese government is trying to come to the table, but, the people are like, no, that. We don't want to disarm because these guys are going to keep taking land from us. And if Hezbollah is disarmed and they get rid of, what's to stop the Israelis from having more aggression and attacking Lebanon?
Yeah. Exactly. Now, coming back to the war, do you think that this is going to go back in? I mean, you mentioned this already. I already asked you, but I was speaking to a number of military analysts, and they think that the war, and these guys have been on point, they think that the war is going to continue. They believe that these negotiations are a charade. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Trump is kind of wrestling with the fact that, like, he strategically lost. And the only thing he could do at this point is, which kind of is horrible, is launch some kind of ground invasion or continue to bomb them and see what happens. But he's got to get some type of W because his uranium operation failed. And we know he's not going to leave. So he's going to have to get some type of W. And yeah, I do think that the war will inevitably start again. He's trying to bide some time. Because the problem with the U.S. is, like, they don't understand is, like, you don't have the leverage anymore, dude. Like, the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Your allies in the Gulf are getting completely pummeled. The Houthis are probably going to come in and get another 10% of the world's energy held hostage again. And it's like, the U.S. is the one that called for this meeting. The U.S. is the one that wanted to come to the table. The Iranians there's really no benefit to them negotiating at this point unless they get all their demands met. And that's why they have these requirements like, we don't want to get attacked again by Israel. We don't want you guys to attack us again. And we're going to make money off the Strait of Hormuz. That's how it's going to go. And I would argue that our behavior has, if anything, justified and made them say we need to get a nuclear bomb even more so. Like, this aggression is going to make them rush towards a nuclear bomb even more so. It's like the complete opposite effect of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. What's your thoughts on Iran agreeing to a ceasefire? Do you agree with the decision from the Iranian perspective, or What's your thoughts on it? Some people think that it wasn't a great decision. Others think it was a good decision. What's your thoughts?
I'm surprised they agreed to it, but they probably want to get, from what I understand, that they've been getting some support from China. China's like been getting them some resources. Some of the rocket fuel and some other stuff has been coming in. So I think for them, since they've been getting hit really hard from an infrastructure standpoint, they probably needed it. But I'm surprised they even came, because honestly, they just keep attacking Israel, and Israel can't really, what are they going to do? Just bomb things above ground more? Like, they could keep attacking, is running out of interceptors. And I would be shocked if had even more than a month or two of interceptors left.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they are definitely running out. And so I guess from Iran's perspective, though, because I've obviously got quite a lot of sources on the ground in Iran, and also I've been reading up quite a bit on what's going on. And there is a bit of dissent about this ceasefire agreement. People are not happy with it. People feel it's weakness. They feel that in the negotiations that maybe Iran has been too weak in agreeing to too many of the American demands. And it's the Americans who have been very like, you know what, our way or the highway, and not wanting a real agreement. So I mean, from that perspective, do you think it was a good decision by them to agree to the?
I don't see, I can see why the Iranians are mad, because they're out for blood. They lost a lot of people. The school got blown up, right? Trump made the comments about a civilization might go down. So obviously, the Iranian people are very angry. So I can see why they're doing that. But I think tactically, there's nothing wrong with rearming, regrouping a bit, getting your missiles in order, and being ready for the next part. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be able to manufacture more drones and missiles than they're going to be able to manufacture interceptors. So this period of time, I think they're going to be able to rearm themselves to a higher degree than the United States and the Gulf states, and Israel is going to be able to rearm themselves on interceptors. But I can see why the people are pissed off, because of obviously all the disrespectful things that Trump has said. And I know a lot of Iranians are pissed off about that too. Like, hey, keep attacking them, keep attacking them. But we'll see what happens. I think both parties probably needed a break.
Now, in terms of the blockade, what's your thoughts on the Trump?
So stupid, dude. Oh my God. Like, I don't know. Like, in my head, I'm like, yo, this is like putting these destroyers at risk. Like, the Iranians can literally shoot, like, spam them with drones and missiles and sink these things. Like, they're sitting ducks. I'm like, what are they doing? What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, they could if the kinetic part of the war restarts. But if the kinetic part of the war doesn't restart, then what do you think about this blockade?
Ridiculous. It's stupid. All it's going to do is just set up more pain for the Gulf states. It's like every time the U.S. does some act of aggression, the Gulf states deal with the consequences of it. So they're going to just shut down the ports, or, if they strike them or they blow something up, they're going to blow something up over there. And then obviously, if we do get back to kinetics, like, the Iranians absolutely have the ability to, like, sink one of these destroyers easily. They can spam it with drones and then shoot a ballistic missile, and they won't be able to take it all down, and it'll go down. And, like, we're talking about sailors dying for what? Like, for what? Like, for this stupid blockade that's completely unnecessary? Yeah, I don't know. Who the hell's idea was that? I don't know what the they were smoking. I think Marco Rubio got drunk at UFC and said, hey, you know what we got to do? We got to blockade the blockade. Trump was like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. It's just like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on the blockade in terms of how successful do you think it's been in the last 24 hours? Do you think the Americans have managed to stop any ships going through, or do you think they've been successful? There's been a lot of mixed messages, basically, hasn't there?
Well, China came through, if I'm not mistaken. A Chinese ship went through, no problem. They can't maintain this blockade forever is the thing. So it's like, you could do it for a bit, show some aggression here or there, but they're not going to be able to do this long term. And the longer they do a blockade is damn near like an act of war. So it's like, they won't be able to maintain this forever. And I think it's putting our troops in serious danger for, like, very little reward.
My position on the war has always been that America made a mistake going to and moving towards a kinetic warfare. And what would have been the smart decision to make is to actually choke out Iran. Now, it's a lot more difficult now because they're trying to do what they should have done earlier. But what they seem to be doing is to try and choke Iran, trying to seize all their assets, and to basically begin a financial war against them rather than a kinetic one that they were losing. What's your thoughts on them realigning that and now going for that? Do you think it's too little too late, or do you think it's still a smart decision to try and choke Iran out, so in the hopes that the people turn on each other?
I think at this point, there's no way that the people are going to turn on the regime or the Iranian government at this point, because Trump has made himself so unfavorable to them that there's no way that they would accept any type of Western leadership. They've already hated Netanyahu, right, since the beginning. No one in Iran likes him whatsoever. And then as far as, like, Trump goes, saying we're going to send him back to the Stone Age, saying that a civilization might die tonight. Obviously, now they're starting to see that the United States and were behind the riots where a lot of people died, supplying them with arms, smuggling in Starlinks, crashing the Rial, bombing them, and I mean, it just goes to like when they bomb and the people are on the streets protesting, they cheer and they say God is great, and they say Allah Akbar, and they cheer and they say, yeah, United States. So it's like, there's no way we're going to be able to get the people on our side or Israel's side. They're going to side 100% with the government, because even the people that don't like the government are going to say, you know what, we have our grievances with the government, but right now we're going to unite and stand around the flag, because these people are trying to destroy us. Trump doesn't care about us. You know, it's all they don't care. And honestly, the only people that even believe that Trump cares about the Iranians are like the stupid monarchists who are a bunch of anyway. They're all stupid and live in Beverly Hills somewhere. Yo, there's nothing dumber than monarchist Iranians. Like, they're so stupid, it's painful. Like, it actually hurts talking to them.
They aren't the smartest bunch, let's put it that way.
They're the low IQ ones. And it's always like they got a grievance. It's like they're like, oh, yeah, like, you know, the regime is so oppressive. They Iranians all. Bro, you haven't lived there since the 70s. Like, you never even lived there. Like, your dumb grandpa lived there. He probably got his whooped by someone from the, you know, Islamic Revolution for being a loser. Like, dude, you're mad because your uncle got kicked out of Iran for being a right. And honestly, I love it too, because like they talk all the time about like, oh, the Islamic Revolution is so evil, so evil. Fine, no problem. You can make the argument that they are, but don't act like the Shah was an angel either, bro. The Savak was brutal. They were brutal. They were kidnapping and them, and you know, they had their own secret police. Anytime you got secret police, you already know things are going to be bad. So, you know, the problem with these Shah Iranians, these monarchs, is they expect you to not know the history of Iran. And if you actually know the history of Iran, you're like, and then when they say, oh yeah, they get beat up for dressing or whatever, that's not true either. Like, there's videos out there in 2026, 2025, 2024. I see more with their hair not covered than with their hair covered. So it's all a lie, bro. It's all a lie.
Yeah, even if cover their hair, who cares? What's your problem? That's their own country. That's their own decision.
Yeah, because they try to say that get beat up and that's not true. And it's like, I see more with the hair uncovered.
It's not true, but even if it was true, like, what's your problem? So, like, my point is this, like, let each country run their country however they want. It's not right. I don't agree with it. But our point is, like, this whole idea that you need to be the police of the world, and
yeah,
you need to tell people what values they should have, when many of the values in the West now one doesn't agree with as well. So it's like, who is the moral police? It's just stupidity in itself.
Yeah,
and people
bro.
have shown, and they have no ability to be a moral police when they've just murdered so many people and killed 168 children. Them girls would, what? You prefer the girls dead rather than being beat up in the future if they really were beat up? So it's just stupid.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. Like, yo, this is why I don't like intervention. I think, you know, foreign intervention is the dumbest thing that you could do. I don't think we should be doing it. It's not our business. Let them live the way that they want to live. And honestly, these monarch chicks, these monarch Iranians are anyway. So it's like, you know, you look at them dancing on TikTok and Instagram like they're fake. So it's like, all right, whatever, bro. You know, it is what it is.